Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. My name is Samuel Odi, and today we will be looking at still the ongoing negotiation between the federal government, organized labor, and trade union labor. So we are all looking at all the conversation will be centered around minimum wage, and as well, in the light of celebrating June 12th, which is the new set date now for Democracy Day, would also be having conversations a little bit about that, and then seeing how democracy has been so impactful in Nigerian society. Let me just bring you all to speed and about what's been going on with Labour and the federal government. But today is set to be the final day of negotiations between Labour and the federal government. So we are waiting to hear what Mr. President will be saying, the President of Bola Tinubu, on the new 62,000 offer that has been given, and then Labour is rejecting and saying they want 250,000 naira. Let me just read out this article, and then you would dive in and then continue the conversations from there. The minimum wage talks between the federal government and organized labor are expected to end today, Monday, as Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress leaders await President Bola Tinubu's decision on their 250,000 naira offer. The Labour leader had given a Monday deadline for conclusion of talks on the new minimum wage. Last Friday, the Committee on National Minimum Wage concluded its meeting where the federal government and organized private sector agreed on a 62,000 naira minimum, while Labour demanded a 250,000 naira. However, Nigerian Governors Forum in a statement said any minimum wage higher than 60,000 naira was not sustainable. The Labour leaders who did not want to be quoted for security reasons said the Nigerian Labour Congress President Joe and other top union officials had left the country to participate in a labour conference organized by the International Labour Organization in Geneva, Switzerland. We were informed that the Labour leaders would hold their National Executive Council meeting where a decision on strike would be taken on their return from Geneva based on the feedback from Mr. President. So today now I have my guest, Mr. Larry Toluhi, who is joining us all the way from the United Kingdom. We'll be extracting this conversation and then we'll be diving deep to see if this is feasible, if 62,000 naira is actually okay, or if the Labour are asking for too much. We just have to find a way to meet ourselves somewhere in terms of this decision, because it has to be a win-win for everybody, because the Labour now are talking about some other top government officials and the kind of allowances and monies that they earn. But before we get to that part, let me get my guests, bring him on scene, and as we just dive in and then start the conversation here. Mr. Larry, are you there? Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sam, and good afternoon, everybody at home.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. So let's just get into the conversation straight up. It's been ongoing with Labour for the past few months now, going back and forth in terms of what the new minimum wage to be. So it started with a whole of 615,000, which the government said it's not feasible, and they said it's obviously outrageous and there is no how they can pay that. And then they went on strike, came back, said 400 plus, and then now they have a meeting. Now the community set aside by Mr. President has given 62,000, and now Labour are down to 250,000. So now, with Nigerian economy now, do we think that this is visible for Nigerian government to pay workers 250,000 per month?
There's nothing that is impossible. There's nothing, it doesn't look like it is invisible. It is visible. Why is it not visible? It is if the Nigerian government will be honest, and if the Nigerian government will be proactive, if the Nigerian government will be determined to do what they need to do and ensure that there is equity at play, because we try to preach that we don't want our civil servants or we don't want our labor force to be corrupt, but we want to pay them a salary that won't even fuel the car of those that have cars, that won't pay the transportation for those that have to do transportation, a salary that probably won't buy them a bag of rice. Mind you, these are family, some of them are breadwinners, a lot of them are family men and women who need to cater for children. You know what the school fees are, even when governments lie in the disguise and say there is a free primary education or basic education. We know these schools makes them buy books, they have to buy uniform, they have to do a lot of upkeeps for their children, not to talk of higher institution. So when you think of all these things, you know that the 62,000 being proposed is not a good is not a good thing at all, because that won't even pay for the electricity bill for a lot of them and all that. So it is visible if our government wants to do what is right. And when I mean if our government are determined I want to do what is right, is if our government decide to think outside the box and stop being lazy and overly depending on oil and all these loans they are taking, if we decide to think outside the box and do what we need to do as government, who needs to take the well-being of its populace first, because that is the primary aim of governance, security and safety of the people, of life and property of the people. And how do you secure the life of people who their well-being is in shambles? Look, mental health well-being or financial well-being, all-round well-being of the populace should be the germane thing, should be the most important thing, should be the paramount thing in the minds of any government or any administration. So what they need to do is to think outside the box and start doing what they need to do and start focusing on what they need to focus on and leave the frivolities which they've been dancing around about. Because when you say this, for me, yeah, 250 might be a bit on the high side for government now, because we know what it is. But I think government shouldn't be offering these people, should be offering neighbor anything less than 150 to 200,000 should be what should be the minimum wage of Nigeria. Because you look at it, by the time you take out all these bills waiting for them, waiting, a lot of bills are waiting. And we don't want these people to be corrupt, except we want to promote corruption in our civil service or in our labor force. That is why government should be proposing 62,000. For me, when I was following the trend and when I saw it last week or last 2 weeks, when government said, okay, one of the things before they signed and before there was a pause to the warning strike, when they said, one government said on the government side, when I saw that they said they will offer something above 60,000. And I told a friend of mine, now look, I can bet you that Nigerian government is going to offer between 62 to 65,000. And they didn't disappoint me. Is that bad that you can predict what the Nigerian government will do? And they always and constantly do what they don't need to do. The money the labor is asking, the 250, is visible. But if government is trying to say, okay, we can't do that for some reasons now, but the government should be offering them something between 150 to 200. I think with that, even labor will take that. If government comes to sincerity of purpose and offer between 150 to 200, labor will surely take that.
Mostly from labor right now, they've actually said that, when they were earning 30,000, which most states did not pay, but now, when it seems the chain got broken was when the whole hike in fuel, inflation on food prices, and as well, tariff hike just went up. That's when I think Labour totally lost it and then decided clamoring for a change in salary. So fuel subsidy removal, which we found out now is still being paid, do you think it's the bedrock to all of these problems we are facing in Nigeria?
You see, my brother, look, like you started, you talked about some governors not praying. Look, like, like severally we've had to talk, and I've told you that Nigeria has the most intellectually lazy crop of leaders anywhere in the world. Our state governors are so lazy, and all they want to do is lazily wait for federal allocation for FAC and to go pick money in Abuja and share and do all kind of unnecessary stuff with. If they would decide to be smart and they would decide to do what they need to do and enhance the resources in their states and begin to do more of developmental project and trying to do more of things of good governance, bringing good governance to people, they will be able to pay. See, when we talk about these hikes and all that, it is pathetic to know that all these hikes are coming in. It is painful, but that is where we found ourselves. And when we hear people talk about subsidy, and I keep saying, and I've said it over and over again, where is the subsidy? Look, we have seen results. We've seen reports that is actually with this present House of Rep, and that look, the president's family-run company, the Oando, is saying there's never any subsidy, that they were not paid money for subsidy. I'm sure you are privy to this document. Oando and Sahara Energy said it. That is nothing like fuel subsidy, that they only paid money to lift crude from Nigeria
Agreed from
to the
Nigeria.
refining countries or refining companies and all that. Now, and they said even as at the old regime before May 29, 2023, that NNPC was making as high as 100 naira per liter, and if there's subsidy, you don't make profit on
Profit
subsidy.
at all.
But you see, the truth is we are not just ready to answer the questions, we're not ready to ask ourselves the deep questions. And when every government that come, even before this government, so I'm not going to blame this government, even since time immemorial that we've been paying subsidy, we need to open up the Nigerian oil and gas sector and see what is happening. There is a rot in the Nigerian oil. Look, I keep telling somebody, I jokingly told a friend, or no, a group of friends on Saturday after the that was after the Nigerian football match
Football. Yeah.
and the Nigerian drill. And I said the most corrupt cartel in the world is the Nigerian oil and gas and the Nigerian Football Federation. Those are the most corrupt set of places we have in the world, not just in Nigeria. There's a lot of corruption going out there. We need to do, I think the young people or civil rights society or the international body needs to be called to see. We need to open up the Nigerian oil sector to know, because I still don't believe there's any subsidy being paid. Yes, money are being moved out, money are being taken, funds are being chunked out, funds are being siphoned in the disguise of fuel subsidy. But believe me, I don't think there's any fuel subsidy really going anywhere.
Okay, let's look at the states now. Lagos State started paying its workers, civil servants, 70,000 naira in January, and then Edo adopted and started paying that same amount from 40,000. They now upgraded it to 70,000 naira in the month of May. So other state governors now coming to say this is not feasible. Is it that they don't generate the income to pay staffs, or they are just, agreeing with what the committee say, not to be able to pay these workers something that is above 60,000 naira, reasonably above 60,000?
Yeah, like I told you, our governors, look, one of the main problems we have in Nigeria is our governors. Like I said, they are lazy. They just want to go to Abuja to take money with their commissioners of finance and whatever team they go with to take the money, and they share the money, and they don't do anything visible, anything reasonable with this money. You see, Lagos is doing that. Lagos is paying 70. Kudos to Lagos. Edo follows suit. Kudos. I'm actually very impressed with what Edo did in coming to that. But believe me, Lagos, we know, is huge, is large in terms of economy, but Edo does not have that, and Edo is doing that. So if Edo is doing it, a lot of states can do it. You see, there's nothing wrong. 'Cause even the 70 is not enough, but that's a good gesture. So we need to give it to them. We need to give it to them for doing what is right, going to the right path. But they can do better. That's what we are saying. And for those governors saying they can't do anything above 60, they should stop saying that. These are the same governors that go looking for SA. They look for SSA to the SSA to the SSA on it. on air, SA to the SSA to the SSA on toilet. Do you get what I'm saying? They are there doing all kind of, I don't know the adjective to use it because you're on air, but you know what I'm saying. They can do all kind of things that are despicable, and they are now telling us they can't pay workers. Look, mind you, the labor force, the labor is where is the bedrock, is the engine room for where all these funds that a lot of them are siphoning, a lot of them are embezzling, a lot of them are are wrongly diverted for personal use. Where the funds are coming in, they should take care of it. They should take care of the labor force. The labor force need to. But look, all this thing is happening because even the Nigerian Labour Congress and the trade union Congress, the leadership over the years too have actually been toothless bulldogs. They've been pets in the hands of executive and all that, and that's why all this is happening. They are not doing what they need to do because if they have stood their ground and they are doing what they need to do, nobody will want to take them for granted. Because people need to understand that a country can't grow if the labor force is not well taken care of, and our labor force has been neglected for far too long in Nigeria. The leadership of our labor force need to start doing what is right. But hey, yet again, if there's going to be another Labour Congress election or TUC election, you are going to see it. The executive will be involved. They will determine who becomes who, and you get what I'm saying. They need to be fully independent to understand, because I think these governors need to understand that they need to take care of this labor force. They need to take care of the LNC guys. They need to take care of the TUC guys. They need to understand that this money is portable. They can pay this money if they have enough money. You see, somebody become a governor, and you see that children have all kind of all things, or their girlfriends have all kind of funny things for money they should be using to give to the workers. They don't give to the workers, and they tell us there's no money. The monies are there. They should spend the money right and do what they need to do. If they should take care of the workers and stop all these white elephant projects they all embark on. You see, most of them say they're doing flyovers and do things that are not needed. Is it not when you are alive you are going to apply those roads, and they tell you that look, they should face what they need to face, major on the major and minus on the minus, and stop majoring on the minus and minusing on the major.
Okay, let's look away from labor for a bit. June 12th is, a day away, and it's been recorded that in 1993, June 12th, during the election, was recorded as the fairest, of all elections, right? So now, how can citizens now, because it boils down to citizens, because we are the ones actually voting, so how can the citizens of the country now play a major role in terms of ensuring that free and fair elections actually happen? Because these politicians, they are all friends in quotes, and they all hang out together, their children get to marry each other, and then at the end of the day, the citizens now go around hating each other during electoral processes. So now, what role can Nigerian citizens now play in terms of having a free and fair election, since it was recorded in 1993 that the June 12th election was recorded as the fairest and the fairest, despite the weather challenges on that day?
I tell people, right? It just shows you how instead of progressing, we are retrogressing as a nation. June 12th, 1993 was 1993 was a great day. I can remember vividly, and the SDP and NRCDs and all that, and the election was adjourned to be the fairest. Yeah, but which was never announced. But it shows how determined the people were. The Nigerian people were tired, and the Nigerian people wanted the military out, and they wanted a democratically elected government, and that was why it was a jolly fair, because a lot of people came out, voted, and they didn't want to give any reason for military not to hand over power to the determination of the people, and that is what we are lacking presently in Nigeria. The Nigerians decided to be Nigerians, to be patriotic, but now Nigerians are not. Majority of Nigerians are not patriotic. We have some few ones that are patriotic, but a lot of Nigerians are not patriotic. From INEC, I keep saying it, from INEC to the populists, they've decided to play games with Nigerians. And it's painful because most of the players in June 12 that wanted the actualization of June 12 are now in power. And how well have they treated the democracy they will tell us they fought for? Because you cannot fight for something genuinely, and you want that thing to to disappear. You want that
Disappear.
thing to be watered down. You want that thing to be ridiculed. And now they are ridiculing it, and the masses are now being too greedy because, and you don't blame the masses too, because the government in the past years have weaponized poverty. They've weaponized a lot of things. Poverty has been weaponized that with little money, people decide to sell their vote and they do all kind of things. Now Nigerians need to be determined the way they were determined on June 12th, 1993, and they went out and voted their conscience and voted for competency and voted for equity and voted for capacity and they voted for what is right. Nigeria needs to get back to that mindset, not marking the date, not a marking the date for celebration of democracy. It should be a day of sober reflection.
Reflection.
It should be a day of national reorientation. It should be a day where the people now look at it and say, look, can we get back to this place where we go out for every election, even as low as councillorship? Sorry if I'm using the word low, but we know in time of governance in Nigeria today, councillorship is from council. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm
Yes.
not taking it for granted. People need to understand that, please. So as low as councillorship, people need to understand that even as low as councillorship, they need to vote the people in, not because of you are party A or party B, or because you belong to tribe A or tribe B or clan A or clan B, or you belong to religious sect A or sect B, but because you are competent, you have been tested, you are trusted, you can do what you say you would do. That is how it should be. And Nigerians should understand, because that was what happened in June 12th, 1993. People voted for competency. They voted for ability and capability. People didn't vote for religion. People didn't vote for tribe. People didn't vote for, people didn't vote for party. They voted based on the personality that were presented. And that is what Nigerians should be doing. That is where Nigerians should go back to start voting for people that need to be there. Because you see, when you vote for the right people, if the right people are in the right offices, issue of governance will be taken care of with ease.
A lot of persons have been saying they should take them back 25 years ago when the military were still ruling over the citizens of Nigeria. What's your reaction to that? Do you think, despite everything happening in the country, and then weighing it with what was happening in the early 19s, do you think it's better for the military to take over governance in this modern day society?
No, I'm an advocate of democracy, and I would say the worst type of democracy is better than the best type of military regime. That's my belief, and I don't believe it should be going back to the military era. The truth is, I don't blame those that are calling it, because you see, like we've said, and I think I've had a discourse with you or with some people else, and I've told them that because we've always had accidental leaders in Nigeria, because all our leaders have been accidental, minus General Sani Abacha that was prepared for governance, and his indices were fantastic. Forget all the loot and all these things that came up with it, but forget his governance in time of developmental indices. He had the best, and we don't had anybody like him, and that is what he did. And I guess that's what people were thinking of, because they could see progress, they could see development, they could see the middle class, they could see national growth. Then that's why they wanted it. But no, we need democracy. We need that to go, and it is painful because you have a child that's 25-year-old. He's probably he or she's probably thinking of marriage or starting a family if they've not started, and it tells you that we are matured. But it is painful that even after 25 years, Nigeria is still going through what Nigeria is going through, because our politicians have decided to be greedy. Our politicians have decided to be greedy. They've decided to be insensitive. They've decided to be selfish and not do what they need to do. But that doesn't mean we should be calling for the military rule. We need a democratic rule. We need to grow as a nation, but our politicians need to do better.
Joining us today on today's edition. I really appreciate you for taking our time to join us the discussion today.
Thank you for inviting me.
That's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition. So we look forward to seeing you soon. Yes, so while we await the Labour and Mr. President on the final verdict of the new minimum wage, so would definitely get you the updates as the day or as the meeting unfolds. So that's on that note. This is going to be where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Midday Discuss. I'll see you all tomorrow. You have a fabulous day ahead. My name is Samuel Odi, and you have a great day ahead. Good afternoon.